make a whole heck of a lot more money?
Yeah.
And it's a good question to ask. And so the cash flow generators is a way that there's various methods of how you can go about making income, especially in 90 days or less. So let me start with the easy one. If you're already in business and you're already earning money, then the best place to focus is in your business right now. Don't go start another business. There was a point where when I started really getting on fire, I thought, oh my goodness, well, I could solve lots of people's problems. Hey, I'll open up a dinner and dance type of company where I would teach people ballroom dance, and then also cater dinner, right?
Okay.
And I did that, and it was like, ugh, it was horrible. I did that for a short period of time, but it was really frustrating just dealing with that much effort. And it was hard. And then doing that, and then I did insurances, and then I also started a network marketing business, with multi-level marketing. And I did 5 different businesses all at once.
Whoa.
And my income overall, I had some businesses already going, but I added 3 more on top of it. And what happened is that my income overall for the total of those 5 businesses went down.
Right.
It went up. It didn't go up. More businesses did not mean I made more money. My income overall went down.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I decided, I said, you know what, if I had to only pick 1 or 2, what would they be? And so I picked them. I kept the ones that are pretty much in line with what I'm doing today. I got rid of the dinner and dance business. I dropped out of the network marketing company.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to remember the other business I did too. I can't recall right offhand, but there was a lot of them. But I stopped those 3, and immediately, within months, my income went back up.
Okay.
And so for those of you that are entrepreneurs that are already in business, already earning money, the one thing I would say is find more ways to provide more value. It might be adding a new product or a new service. And especially if people keep asking you questions over and over and you don't have an answer for them, that might be their way of saying, get a clue. Maybe you should do something about it and find a way to monetize it.
They keep coming back to you and they're thinking, right, come on, you look like you know the answer, and that could be a business right there.
Exactly. It's funny because you might have to get told, and I'm one of those people that you might have to smack me around a few times, but once I get it, I really get it. And somebody kept telling me, they're saying, well, hey, do you have like a monthly coaching program instead of just the full fee? Do you have something that's like a monthly group coaching type program that we can become a part of? We're paying monthly. And I've always said, no, I don't have anything like that, but I've got CDs, I've got this, I've got that. And I finally just last week got the clue. I said, oh my goodness, I need to start something like that. And so that's where I'm actually in the process of developing that structure for that right now. And I'm sure within the next few weeks I'll have it developed and done, and there'll be an additional stream of revenue for the business. But it fulfills a need that people were looking for, where they might say, you know what, I might not be able to do a lump sum of cash, but I might be able to afford you monthly. You can help me find ways to free up that cash flow so that I can even afford to pay for the full process, right?
So you're just differentiating your product basically into different, suiting people's pocket basically.
Exactly. Filling up that sales funnel, right, where you start with the lower price points, even from free all the way up to the higher price points where they're working one-on-one with you, right?
Right.
Presuming you have a coaching or consulting business. But then this could apply to products as well. I've had a lot of people where they won't increase the price of their products or services for years. They'll say, well, the economy is really tough. Well, if there's people out there that are common laborers getting a raise at least every few years, if not every year, why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you get an increase in your pay too?
Yeah.
And I'll see, like a lot of the doctors I've worked with, they'll have their services locked in for 5, 7, 8, 12 years sometimes.
Wow, that's insane. Don't they track inflation or anything like that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's out of that fear. It's that scarcity mentality, thinking, well, and again, people that are very passionate, they love people, which is good. That's the key. You got to have that. But they again believe that in that scarcity, finite pie, thinking, well, I'm taking from people. I don't want to rip them off. But the thing is, you can never rip a person off if they keep paying you.
What is it?
You're not putting a gun to their head. You're not forcing them to buy your stuff.
They keep coming back. So you must be doing
Yeah,
something good.
exactly. If they keep paying, that means they want it.
Yeah.
And what it means is, in their mind, they believe your service is worth even more than what you're charging.
Exactly, and if I guarantee, if they even like said, "Oh, for whatever reason, we have to just raise it up a little bit," they'll stay with you. They'll say, "Oh, you might be putting something," or they still perceive it as it's now building and it's more value, so they wouldn't mind paying. Mm.
Right. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, when we talk about it, it sounds ridiculous, and hopefully, for those of you listening that maybe you found yourself a little bit guilty of this, well, good. It does sound ridiculous, and it's something that you have to get over that fear, and say, listen, like if people don't like the price, they won't pay it.
Yeah.
They won't give you the money. So that will be your clue.
Yeah.
And hopefully, and the most important thing is that you believe it's worth more than what you're charging too. Because if you don't believe it, they won't believe it either.
And I've had running arguments, nearly fist fights with people over this one thing. I'm saying, look, you're charging this, and you're saying you want to grow your business, and you're struggling a little too much. I say you have to raise your prices. And I guarantee you, the people that are paying you now, they will still pay because they see something of value finally. And I've nearly had fist fights over this thing.
It's true. And that's what the scarcity mentality does. You've got to think from a world of abundance. And trust me, if you want abundance, you have to think more abundantly. If you want scarcity, if you want to always feel like you're starving, you're always begging for scraps, just keep thinking of scarcity, because that will be the inevitable result. As a financial planner, that's where I was going. When I broke out of that and I broke free from my mind, all these things I'm teaching are a lot easier. And just so you know, the strategies, the things I'm telling you, are really easy to do when you can see with the right eyes.
Yeah.
You can see from the right perspective.
That's I think that's the key. That is the key. Perspective, and this vision, inner vision, and able to see value around you, where probably no other can see it, and to just basically just manipulate it towards what it is that you're trying to do.
That's right. Yeah, it's all about that perspective. Perspective determines the actions you take. And so for example, so I mentioned about in business. I mean, there's great ways to increase your money there by either increasing fees or prices on your product or service, or by adding a new service or a new product that provides more value, that fills a need, that provides something that people want. And always think from people's perspectives, not just your own. When you look from their point of view, and then you put that into your business, it's so easy, and especially when you start to market it and let people know about it, it's easy to make money. It's really so simple. You'll wonder, what the heck was so difficult? Why did I struggle for so long when it's this easy? And it really is.
I think
it doesn't mean it doesn't take a little bit of time sometimes, but it's definitely a very simple thing to do.
And once you get on that track of generating cash flow, I dare say this, but it becomes also almost automatic in the way you think, how you're going to provide value, and then the money just comes.
That's right. It's much more of you start to think more from that we attitude of us versus me, versus me, becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
And it does become automatic. Like everything, practice makes not just perfect, practice makes permanent, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Because you can do something really bad by practicing it over and over.
Yeah.
If you do the right things and you do it consistently, it'll become part of who you are, and it'll become second nature. So let me give you a few other ideas, depending on where you are. Maybe you're the entrepreneur that you feel like you're struggling. You're not the person maybe you feel like you're not the right person to be starting a business from scratch, or you're starting to figure this out. And I've seen people like this, people that that love more structure. They tend to like to take less risks. At least, I don't know, and I think the biggest risk is of becoming an employee and not having a business, because if I have to rely on somebody else, that's risky, right?
Yes.
But when you're that kind of person, when you feel like you don't like to test new things out, you like to just really have things figured out, have good systems already in place.
Yeah.
There's a few options for you. One is you become a partner. You can still be in business. You can still be a business owner, but maybe you become a partner with someone who's more of that quick start, that person that's really willing to get out there and try things out, and willing to take action quickly. You might be, so to speak, the string on the helium balloon, right?
Yeah.
You're you keep the other partner grounded. You keep them on planet Earth, but at the same time, you're not just stuck on the ground. You can actually rise with them.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. I sometimes refer to my wife as being the string on my helium balloon, which is good. You need these people in your life. And so, you might become a partner. You might become a contractor. You might not be necessarily an employee,
yeah,
but you might become a contractor where you have kind of your own business, but maybe somebody else is driving in the business to you, and you're just really good at fulfilling on that business. You're really good at delivering that value. So maybe you find somebody who's good at selling the value, so then you can deliver the value, right? And then, of course, the option is you can become an employee. There's nothing wrong with being an employee necessarily, especially if you're in business with the right people.
Yes.
I mean, some of the best people I've ever worked with were people that worked with me or for me.
Yeah.
And I adore those people because they have talents that I wish I had, but I don't. And it's through the exchange of our talents with each other, as we start to fill in each other's gaps and our weaknesses with our own strengths, that's how we become a great unit and how we become stronger together.
And I think that's the key, to work as a unit, as a team, and then you kind of find your own identity with each other, and you can just, whatever trade you're applying or whatever products you're selling or, value that you're presenting, it does translate very well to the customer.
That's right, absolutely. There are a few other options too if you're like that kind of person. You might buy a franchise. Now, a franchise might require a lot of money out of pocket. It might require a ton of money, but it's nice to know, like, for example, with McDonald's is an easy system that is predictable.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% that you follow their system, it works. And for some people, that's a breath of fresh air. They love it because they say, my goodness, I love that system, let me follow it. But a franchise is not always affordable for most people. You might have to have a lot of money in that you have saved up.
Exactly, to
or access to a lot of money through somebody.
Yeah.
And so the cheaper option that's similar to a franchise would be network marketing, a multi-level marketing company.
Yeah.
They use, I'll admit, there's a lot of people out there that give network marketing a bad name.
Yeah.
But what maybe people might consider comparable to attorneys, right? The 95% give the 5% a bad name.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good people. And then when I look at it as a business model itself, it's much like a franchise model, but for less out of pocket.
Yes, exactly.
Which is fantastic. There's nowhere else you can go for maybe a matter of just a few hundred a month or less.
Yeah.
And you end up being in business. And then there's no risk in the sense that you don't have to worry about payroll. You don't have to worry about developing the system because it's already there for you.
Exactly.
You just have to find the right people to work with that follow their system.
Yes, and also, because I've done multi-level marketing in the past, and if I can just say one thing, it taught me how to get out there and talk to people, basically sales. Because I was your Mr. Proverbially, shy, stay on the fences type of guy, and that is the one thing that really brought myself out. And so if you can do it for that one thing, M&M is the way.
That's right. Well, and remember, the same principles we talked about earlier in this interview come to the same point. Dollars follow the value you provide other people.
Yeah.
When you come into that business and you just try to take from people, which is what a lot of people do in that business,
yeah,
those are the people that crash and burn.
Yeah, yeah.
Or get a bad reputation. But the people that I've seen be very, very successful in it are those that understand those basic concepts of how can I go about serving you? And they try to help other people become prosperous and wealthy as well.
Yeah.
And as they do that, it's amazing how those people respond to that kind of leadership, and all of a sudden the company grows and expands.
That's right.
And whether that's in network marketing or even in business in general, those same principles do apply.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say for this group is, if there's another cash flow generator I can add, is being an investor. It might be that you have a large amount of cash. You could invest in a franchise. You could invest in your own business. You could invest in so many different areas, but you might invest in areas that maybe you're very fascinated by.
Yeah.
Again, looking for that passion. Because one thing I learned when I trained about 200 people how to trade stocks and options, one thing I learned is that those people that came in only to earn a paycheck, that only came in to earn money, those are the people that, ironically enough, never made any money after I was done coaching them.
Right.
The ones that actually that did it regardless of the money, that loved the game, that loved it, whether they made a dime or not, are the ones that I still talk to this day, years later, still making money in the markets. And that's a key distinction. And so when I have people that ask me, well, what should I invest in? My next question is always, Well, who are you?
Yeah.
What do you love? Like, what do you love, and that you understand really well? If it's business, then invest in your business, and keep investing in that, because that's where you see the people on the Forbes 400 list getting wealthy. They invest in what they know and what they love, and that's what except for the few people that inherit it, right?
Yeah.